Hey guys, it's Daniel Bloodworth. I'm kind of the racing game dude here at GT again, and wanted to give you guys a quick update on Forza since I know a lot of reviews are going to be dropping today, and mine will not be one of them because I still have a lot more of the game to play. But I want to give you some first thoughts so far. You know, I'm just kind of in the opening few hours of the game right now. You start off kind of like led by the nose a bit. You start off in a McLaren P1 and they kind of give you the test lap. And then after that you go through, you're kind of stuck into like 5 races in the career with a compact car before you can really like stretch your legs and get out and do what you want. There's some cool stuff there in that opening stint. There's a Top Gear race where they they're like, hey, we're gonna simulate London for you, and they just put like just all kinds of garbage all over the road. Like literally there are garbage cans for the length of the track. You're plowing through them. There's all these other kind of props and things that you go through, and it's just kind of like chaos all over the place. A bunch of like mailboxes lined up and that kind of thing. And Top Gear is more present throughout the game. Every one of these leagues is presented by one of the Top Gear hosts, either Jeremy Clarkson or James May or Richard Hammond.
This was the beginning of a new age for sporty motoring.
Long before the BMW M3, for example, there was the 2002 Turbo.
And they just kind of talk about that class of cars, because that's generally how things are split up. It's just different car classes, different types of cars that you're going to be racing against. And they just kind of give you an overview and like, why is this class of cars so great? And they kind of lead you through the career that way. You know, once you've gone through that first 5 or 6 races, you're free to kind of bounce around however you like. The main thing that's going to limit you is whether or not you can afford a car. As in past Forza games, your credits earned are kind of based on how well you do, as well as you getting bonuses for having assists off and going against higher difficulty and things like that. A driver level, I don't remember this from past Forza games, I'm not sure if it was there before, but basically your driver level will also increase your earnings, and then your affinity level with certain car manufacturers will also increase your earnings. So there's a lot of things there to encourage you to make a car your own and upgrade it and things like that. So graphically it looks really nice. It's running a nice, sharp, solid, it seems to be, you know, 1080p 60, like for real, legit. Everything is just very crisp and clean. The reflections look great. There's a windshield reflection of the dashboard, like you can see your hands in the dashboard and the windshield. When you come across certain corners or out of a tunnel, you kind of get this blinding rays of sunlight. And then with an open wheel car, you can see the suspension flexing and the brakes heating up and things like that, which some of that's not all that new, but just nice little touches. I did come across a couple of small graphical issues. I came across a dashboard and a replay, like when I would change camera angles, the dashboard would kind of glitch out. The damage is still kind of, it's there, but it's a little funky to me. I feel like I've barely nudged a guy, and then I look at the car and I've got like this wedge out of the car, like I slammed into a telephone pole. So far, I haven't seen any sign of any kind of dirt tracks or weather or night racing. I'm a little nervous that those things haven't made it in there, and some of you hardcore Forza guys probably know the answer already because you've been following the game. I thought next gen would kind of be the moment to introduce some of those features. But we'll see, maybe they're there and I just have to get to them. So far I've driven a few different cars. I've driven a Camaro, I've driven a classic Ferrari F1 car, I've driven a classic Skyline, and I picked a paint job for a BMW that made it look like it was all made out of wood, so that was fun. I've been kind of having some fun in the vintage series right now. The handling feels really good so far. Being able to really like get a sense of the understeer and everything that's going on with specific cars. There was a moment on Spa where I'm going up the hill. I wanted to drive that hill like I would drive in an F1 game, and the car just couldn't do it, and I ended up making this ridiculous drift to recover from my mistake and not braking when I should have. Impulse triggers, not feeling them. I'm sorry, these things so far. So if I have the gas all the way down, then I get a nice little knock against my finger when I'm shifting gears. But if I'm somewhere in that middle range, and you know, like if you're playing a driving game, you're not always going to be putting the pedal to the floor. That middle range, it's just like this odd buzzing feeling, and I don't really like it. And you don't have an option to turn impulse triggers off compared to the other vibration. I think that in the deeper settings you can reduce it, so maybe that would be something to play with. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the impulse triggers just yet. There's also like a lip on the back of the trigger that's kind of making me feel like I'm irritating my finger a little bit. It's kind of odd. Also, not feeling the music. They've gone through all this effort to put this cinematic soundtrack in there, and I just find it to be rather annoying. There's so much great car audio in there. I want to turn that music off and just go for it. So I may be doing that very soon and playing the rest of the review with no music on. Again, after you finish a race or an event, you can push the X button to go into Rivals mode, and that puts you into a time trial, but you're there with somebody else on the leaderboard, like one of your friends, or actually not even one of your friends, but those, I think they start with people that you know and make them your rivals, and then after you've beaten everyone that you know, you start working your way up the leaderboards, and they introduce new rivals to you. And that's a great way to kind of get a little bit more out of a track when you first get to it, and just kind of make the time trial feel more engaging and competitive. Drivatars, I gotta say, I still think the way they talk about them is silly. It's like, AI no longer exists. I'm like, AI exists. You're training AI, but there's AI there, obviously. I'm not driving against a ghost of somebody. But I honestly, it does make a difference. You know, like, there's not this robotic sense to the other cars now. There are people all over the road. There are people slamming into each other a little bit. You really get a sense that you're looking at different people's driving styles, and I like that, and I'm going to keep an eye on how it goes, but I think so far Forza is making a step forward and is finding a way to make AI not feel like, you know, guys in a train. Anyways, I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to get back to the review now, but keep an eye out for it. I'm hoping that we can get it up by the end of the week, but as you know, Forza is a big game, and I want to give it its due. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to seeing your comments.